Welcome, everyone, to episode 212 of Just Joshing. I'm your host, Joshua Penteleresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Today, my guest is voice award-winning narrator Marnye Young. Now, Marnye does audiobooks specifically for certain authors, and she's really, really good at it. Her range is crazy. She's a fan of the classics, which I actually really dig, because I really believe I'm kind of fortunate that I've met her. I discovered her on Twitter with her handle Audio Sorceress. I thought that was a really cool nickname, and where did she get it? And we just started talking, and for whatever reason, she's been able to put up with me not just once but twice. I screwed up on this interview. Thank you, all-knowing Skype, for messing up. But this one interview came out really, really well, and she's great. Like, honestly, actress, mom, audio reader. Like, audiobooks are such a big part of writing right now. People are on the road, people work, people have these all-powerful cell phones, and on these cell phones, we don't necessarily want to listen to music, although music is cool, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we want something a little longer, a little meatier, a little more, of a story, because we all love stories at the end of the day, and Marnye delivers each and every week. It's actually really, really cool to see her work in action, and as you can tell, she did Sherlock Holmes, Studying Scarlet herself, which I think is really, really badass, and you should definitely check it out. She calls me a genius, which I'm incredibly flattered by. I don't know what I did to deserve such a title, but here I am, and here she is, who I think may actually be the real genius of us all. So enjoy this chocolate-filled episode of Just Joshing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have turned the recorder on. I'm barely awake. It's a disaster over on the other end here. How you doing today, Marnye?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Josh?
Chaos and mayhem everywhere I go. It's been kind of one of those. It's been a very wild, magical few weeks for me, for sure. So I got credibility, and my audience just magically is growing, and it seems it's going to keep growing, which I can't really complain about. So
it's fantastic.
Yeah, just thank you for your part in that.
Oh, well, sure. I didn't do really much, did I?
Yeah, well. Okay, so Marnye, I gotta say, is a bit of a social media master. It's a master class. So some mornings I will wake up and I literally watch my Twitter just blow up like 20, 30, 40, 50 things, because she's kind enough to mention me in some of her tweets and some of her really funny GIFs and all that stuff. And I'm like, I've met all kinds of people I never would have met prior to that, like Betsy Ross, who's really cool.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, I like to think, hey, listen, in light of everything going on, I have to thank you. I mean, you've been awesome. So.
Oh, that's my pleasure. I love supporting and promoting people that are awesome. So it's easy.
Yeah, fair enough. So I met you because, first off, you and speaking of Twitter, you do have a badass Twitter handle, Audio Sorceress. Like, okay, I gotta meet this person, and then I got to look at you. It's like, you're a world class narrator, and beyond and more. You have a very, very beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you so much. I try.
You try. So, I remember I asked this last time, so I'm going to ask this again this time, because this is a re-recording, ladies and gentlemen, because the last recording I don't think did her justice, because I screwed up how I recorded it, so she's been gracious to me, so thanks for that. But how'd you get in?
How'd I get into what?
Narration, doing audiobooks.
Right, sorry. I told you.
It's okay. Listen, that's part of the fun, right? So.
Yes, exactly. I got into it because, my background is in acting, and, I got pregnant with twins, and that sort of put the kibosh on that, and a very good friend of mine, Patricia, and who's amazing in a narrator in her own right, just phenomenal, Patricia Santamasso said, you have a great voice. You should think about doing audiobooks. And that had never even crossed my mind. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was a great way for me to be able to be a stay-at-home mom and still do something that I loved and contribute to the family, financially. So I started at roughly the end of 2016, and then I formed my own company, I think about 3 months ago now, Audio Sorceress LLC. And pretty much right off the bat, I was fortunate. I hooked up with this producer who I had no idea I was actually hooking up with, because I thought I was just auditioning for a book by M. Robinson, who's an incredible author, by the way. Anyway, Silverton Audio. So they were a huge part of why I am where I am today, because they kind of also latched onto me in the best way. And so I give them clients, they bring me people. It's a nice little thing we have going there. So.
And suddenly you've become a quote unquote overnight success.
A lot of work.
Oh well, yeah, and it's kind of like, for me, like, since we last talked, I've suddenly become more recognized, and it's like it's surreal, because one day you're just really. What I find with this whole deal with success is you're just minding your own business. Really, it's all you're doing, and you're just showing up and you're doing your own stuff. And then the next thing you know, people think you're good at it, which is like, well, thank you.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it's
right.
Like I said, I'm literally looking right now. I have a big giant trophy from the Canadian Association of Science Fiction and Fantasy. So, and that in itself is just, I still can't believe it. And I've had it for a few weeks. It's like, I won this. It just kind of fell into my lap, literally. I did not plan it or anything. Didn't put my name down for nomination or anything like that. But yet here I do. I have, my podcast is on there. My name's on it. It's like, and I heard my name called. I was there when my name was called. And it was definitely like, it was surreal, like, and it still feels kind of surreal. So, yeah, I mean, I think, well, I guess you know this better than I do. Life don't work the way you plan it, ever.
No, so don't. You try, but at the same time, it's like you just kind of have to roll with whatever happens and move forward, because definitely it does not work the way you plan it. I totally thought I was going to be an actress for my life, and that's what I was going to do, and boy, did that took a real turn, but in the best way possible. I'm so grateful for everything that I have, for the tremendous support that I have, the writing community, my friends, like, everybody is just phenomenal.
Well, actually, in a weird way, you still kind of are. I mean, it's just...
Well, that's true. That's
right.
True.
I mean, because if you really sit there and think about it, like, you are literally the voice of worlds authors produce. In some ways, it's better than acting, because if you were on the stage, some of the books you'd read would be a lot more limited. So basically, it's your voice and our reader's imagination. And that's a really powerful combination.
That's true. No, it does. I mean, if you're an actor, it really lends it. I mean, I've said this before, but it's storytelling, right? As an actor, you're telling a story, and then the same thing as a narrator, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it's still a story, whether it's, the actual truth or some other truth, it's still a story. So it's working well for me so far.
Oh yeah, you've done very well for yourself. I mean, you've definitely got nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, you're always constantly in demand, and that's certainly not a problem. A lot of people, period, want those kind of problems. So I mean, you're not on a stage, and I'm sure there's a part of you that misses the stage.
Just a little.
Well, but that opportunity might come your way again too. You never know.
Well, and I've got some plans for some stuff that's top secret that I think I might have mentioned to you, but it's completely secret.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I may or may not have heard something, but I was just like, it's kind of like an in one ear, out the other, bottomless pit in the brain. There you go. I don't know what she's talking about. She's got master plans to take over the world. I don't know.
Exactly. It's time to take over the world.
Exactly. I think so, Brain.
But did I have rubber pants in my size?
Possibly. Maybe. That is such an awesome cartoon. I legitimately missed that cartoon.
It was so good.
Yeah.
So good. Freund-Leben. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
I honestly, it's my favorite it's the show that produced my favorite Christmas episode of all time. Like that show.
I haven't seen. I have to see the Christmas episode. I have to see it because I love like everything Christmas. I'm kind of a Christmas nut. I don't know if you knew this or not, but it's a little crazy.
I wish. Do you want me to spoil it for you, or no?
No.
Okay.
No, don't want you to spoil it for me.
I'm going to say this. And I will say it without. It's not a real spoiler. It actually made me cry. It is one of the sweetest things, and you won't see it. You won't see it coming. When you see it coming, you'll be like, "Oh my god!" It is literally. It's my favorite Christmas episode of all time.
I gotta see it now. Animaniacs. I got it at the Christmas.
No, not Animaniacs. The actual Pinky and the Brain cartoon.
Okay, not the. Okay, I gotta find it then.
Yeah. It's a Pinky and the Brain when they actually got their own show. It was the first season they had a Christmas episode. It's hilarious. It's a funny. It's the usual humor, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely its usual humor in there. But like the very end, man, it is probably the most. I mean, it's oddly one of the most heart-wrenchingly beautiful Christmas things I've ever seen. And anything beyond that, I won't. It would ruin it. You'd be crying right now. You'd be like, I can't work today. Damn it.
Oh my god! Especially me. I cry at the drop of a hat. So I'll definitely have to watch that one.
No, it's good. It's really good. No, that cartoon's like it's the most absurd thing I've ever seen in terms of a cartoon. It's about two mice trying to take over the world, and they do it every night. It's like
they do.
It's fantastic. I wish they'd hurry up and succeed.
But then there wouldn't be a show.
Well, the show's no longer in syndication. They can succeed any time. I'm seeing what's out there now. They're surely better than what's there now. So.
I know some of that stuff's a little scary.
Well, it's the world we live in today.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still a lot of magic out there. I can literally go onto my feed. I will see artists writing, or like writing, drawing, expressing themselves. I've learned now how to just when I see a political tweak, I just keep going down the road. I don't care.
Yeah. I try to stay out of that. I don't. It's not. Yeah.
Politically, I'm an atheist. That's how I look at it. Yeah, so.
I have no comment.
No comment. No.
I plead the fifth.
But I actually like speaking of the legend we were talking about off the air. His most recent blog entry, which was in June, he wrote one of the coolest stories I've ever read. He actually tells the true story of how Japanese women got their civil rights. It's amazing.
Wow.
No, it's one of the most incredible. You read it, you're like, holy shit! It's so cool. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I've bookmarked his page because I saw that he had a blog in June. It looks like, and I bookmarked his page, so I'll have to come back to it.
You'll be like, this is like the most amazing thing ever. It really was. I was like, that is awesome, amazing, and it's amazing how things got solved, and that it's like unbelievable, but awesome. Like there is a magic, I think, in this world of right place, right time. Right people, and no matter how screwed up the world seems on the surface, right? There's always these little things that make you go, wow. Maybe I'm a softie. I don't know.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
No, definitely, without a doubt. I mean, I think too. The more whatever. I'm getting all whatever, but I just read this article that really resonated with me in National Geographic, and it was about, like, despite the craziness of the world, there is so much hope, and that gets overlooked constantly. And it's like the more hope you bring into the world, the more hope there is, and then those people hope, and that fills you with more hope, and then before you know it, everybody's hopeful and everybody's doing positive things. And and it's not about talking, it's about action. Getting in there, volunteering, helping other people. There's no replacement for that, and that feeling and what that inspires in other people is so powerful.
I'll give you a fun example. Like for me, like I woke up yesterday. I mean, besides that was really cool. I had a buddy of mine. So I did an episode of his show, and we talked about him getting out of his comfort zone because comfort zone and where the magic happens are two very different spaces, almost always. And so he's like, how do I get out of my comfort zone? So we gave him some ideas, and he's actually doing them. It's actually really, really awesome to watch because he's a really sweet guy, and he's really outgoing. He's personable, and I knew he'd do a fun interview. And now he's taking, like, he's doing his part and taking the show on the road. And it's like, this is so cool. And he's meeting cool people. And I know for him, opportunities are going to come. Because that's how it happened to me. And I think that's what happens to everybody. You go out, you meet people, you show the world, here I am. And that's where magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm feeling oddly hunky-dory and celebratory. So I think I think what I want to ask you is, so you can't tell me every cool thing you're coming up with. Like, man, there's the top secret Pinky in the Brain. It's kind of world domination stuff, and that's your business. I'm not here to imply this, but I mean, I mean, just doing what you do, you probably run into those quote unquote magical moments all the time. Do you have a good one that comes to mind?
In terms with my narration,
Yeah.
speaking about like something that, absolutely. Sometimes it reminds me of being stage, and you kind of come off the stage, and you sort of have no idea what happened. Now, I don't mean that like you weren't in control, like you didn't know what. I mean, of course, you know, you're aware of the other actors, you're aware of all those things, but you took this ride, you know, with everyone else on stage and the audience and whatever. And so similar to that, I've certainly, done, especially in this, well, I mean, obviously there's something in all the books, but definitely in this most recent book that I'm just wrapping up, called The Forest and the Flames by G. Lawrence. It's the second one in her Matilda Flanders series. The first one is The Heart of the Conqueror, which just came out today. Yay! Happy release day.
Hey, cool.
Which I'm excited about because I think I had mentioned that's my 27th great grandmother.
Yes.
She was also the Queen of England, so it was really cool. But anyway, and I certainly noticed it with that as well. Like I said, I mean, it happens in all the books in different places, but especially probably because I've said this before, her writing, there's something very Shakespearean about it, and because I connect so deeply to that, I feel that I do. I you know, it's like reaching into someone's guts and pulling out their innards kind of thing. It's this crazy sort of experience, and that's happened to me where I've just sort of been like, what just happened? That was really kind of awesome and exciting. And does that make sense?
Yeah, well, no, there's these moments when you're creating, when I'm writing a story. Like right now, I am doing a Dr. Seussian stick figure revolution. The script's just about done. It's actually, I'm looking at it literally as soon as I'm done with you. I look at the script, and if I like what I see, I give it to my editor, because that's going to be, it's done. I'm done. It's a major project I've been working on for a long time, and it's done. But there's these moments where you're creating something, and it may not seem like much when you start, but there's moments where you're there, you're doing it, but you're like a conduit for something else, like something, right? And you're just going along for the ride. And there are moments in every story I write, or even in the podcast when I'm interviewing people. Sometimes I'm just going with it. Like I have learned one of the, I think, biggest keys I think I've gotten smarter with. I'm not always smart with this. I don't think everybody is all the time. Is not getting in your own way. Just like whatever's coming, you just go on along for the ride and see where it takes you. And having that confidence that whatever, no matter where the experiment goes, or whatever the job is, or whatever you're creating, right, that something good will come out of it, right? Even if it's just like, and something maybe even beyond I'm not gonna say beyond what you're capable of, but it's like you're not in full control anymore. You're just whatever you're channeling, whatever you're doing is coming out. And it's a fantastic feeling.
It's a wonderful feeling, and it kind of, I remember when I was doing this show that I pretty much never left the stage, and you feel like you've run a marathon in a way, and I experience that sometimes with some of these books, and it literally feels like I've run a marathon because there's just so much there, and it's the adrenaline is rushing. It's what do they call it? A high. It's a high that you can't describe, really.
No, and when you do, and when you're done, you're kind of sad it's over. But then there's another project, and then there's another job, there's another play, and you get that opportunity all over again. And it might be completely different. Like for you, I imagine that your characters that you're acting out, voicing out, they come to life, and some way more than others. So, that true?
Just as with anything, absolutely, as with anything. I mean, there's certain characters that are just like fit you like a glove. You just like putting on another skin or whatever. And others, you kind of have to work at a little bit to sort of figure out where it is in you that this resonates, and how to make that person's truth your truth to be able to tell the story.
Villains have to be really fun for you.
I love villains. I was actually asked what was one of my favorite roles. I say roles. See, listen to me. I sound like an actor.
You are.
One of the favorite. Yeah, I know, right? But whatever.
Yeah.
The characters. This really cool series I'm doing by Eric J. Gates called The Cull. We did The Bloodline was the first one. Anyway, there's a delicious villain in that. I don't want to do any spoilers, but he was by far one of my favorite characters to play because he's just so whoa.
Villains are fun because especially if they're good, like they're really good villains, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or they're really fun, like if you can find. We always talk about the villains that are twirling their mustaches and stuff, but there's something very
No, he's far more complex than that, and that's what makes him fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he's a complex villain. Good villains usually are right on some level. Like, there's a point where they're actually a little bit justified, and you're at the very least, you can understand where they're coming from.
Yes, absolutely. And this guy, yet you don't quite know what his motivation is, which is even more exciting because you're trying to figure out, and there's other characters in there too that you're like, wait a minute, is this guy who you think he is? Like there looks like there's more evil than is quite there on the surface, and then the opposite with this guy, he's so evil, but there's definitely, like you said, there may be justification there,
and those And those are usually the best because, okay, you get this opportunity because if you do it right, if you play a character like that right, you can get the audience to kind of either be, some of them to root for them. Like, some audience will root for villains no matter what. That's just part who they are, is when they participate in whatever they're reading, seeing, listening to, right? I mean, you just root for the villain. But then there are some villains that are so, quote unquote, lovable, right? that you cannot help but that part of you is rooting for them. Like, for me, speaking of, one of my all-time favorite quote-unquote villains is Wile E. Coyote, right? He is actually he's incredibly easy to root for. I mean, because you look at the Roadrunner cartoons, Roadrunner's a dick. Like,
he is. I completely agree.
Yeah,
it drives him nuts.
Yeah, right.
He's such a schmuck. Yeah, he really is.
He's a dick. He's also. I mean, in all fairness, the coyote is trying to eat him. Maybe I might be a little bit of an asshole to the guy trying to eat me too. I mean, I get that on some level, but then you look at what the coyote does. Every cartoon, he's building something. Like, and you can see that inside this mind of this very, very simple seeming predator is a genius, right? If you really sit there and think, like, seriously, those are some of the most intricate little traps I've ever seen, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Right, and then for whatever reason it doesn't work out. Actually, my favorite one's when he actually caught the Roadrunner. Right? There goes this little pipe, right? So they both shrink down, chasing the Roadrunner. You go back, the Roadrunner gets big and he's small. Right? And he catches the Roadrunner. Roadrunners are way bigger than him, right? So it's like, okay, so there's this little scene where he pulls the sign out. You go, guys, you've always wanted to see me catch the Roadrunner. Now what do I do? And I was like, that is perfect.
I've never seen. That's a real episode.
That is a real episode. You can look.
No.
You can find it. There is an episode. It's at the end of the cartoon. It's a typical Wile E. Coyote cartoon, where the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner go through like this pipe, and this pipe shrinks. Like, what the hell is going on? Because you hear them chasing, and they both shrink down. And when they go back through the pipe, right, the Roadrunner is now at full sized again, but the Coyote is not. So the Roadrunner stops, but in that 1 minute, man, the Coyote caught the Roadrunner. It is one of the coolest moments in cartoons. It's like, he did it. I mean, grant you, right? That's still not fair. And that's part that really gets you. But he did it. He caught the Roadrunner. And, I mean, yeah. So there you go. One of cartoon's greatest mysteries, like Wile E. Coyote's Roadrunner. And he's an easy villain to root for because you see him causing trouble, right? Or trying to build all the time. And those are the best villains, you know, so.
Well, it's like Richard III or Iago or any of, you know what I mean? Like, they are villains, but oh my gosh, you ride that train with them. You're totally there for them, and in this sick way, I think you do end up kind of rooting for them. I mean, not really, but kind of, because they're funny and interesting and tragic and all of it.
Well, I mean, this is actually a really here's a deep philosophical question. I know you're a bit of a mess this morning, so this might mess you up even more. All right, is there a point where a villain stops being a villain? Even if they're not necessarily on the right side, do they just become a human being somewhere along the way?
I think they always are, right?
You know, the good ones are, absolutely. Right? Mustache trolling villains aside, right? I mean, the really good villains, ultimately at the end of the day, may be the most human of us all. So, yeah. So they're
expressing, a lot of times too, they're expressing impulses that the only difference is they're playing out impulses that all of us probably have, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's always a cool thing. And like I said, it's funny, the one thing books, plays, you know, anything that requires stories is it teaches us empathy. And that's the ultimate goal.
Yes.
It helps me understand who these people are, and in so doing, who I am. Right, and who is everyone around me. So, I mean, I think the ultimate thing stories do is we can learn to understand. And if we can learn to understand, I mean, we're one step, I think that's a huge step closer to making the world a better place.
Yes. Oh, I was just thinking about that how important empathy is. Yeah, and it's huge. I mean, you have to be empathic too to the characters. I mean, again, goes back to acting. That's what we learned about being empathic to these characters, and that's how you put yourself in their shoes and you walk in their shoes, and then it's like you don't have to try because you're identifying with them already. You're empathic to their situation or whatever's going on. And I mean, absolutely, out there we need more empathy. In fact, it's always frightening when you see people who don't seem to have any empathy. It's a little scary.
Well, for me, it's more like the fact that I have this theory that people without empathy, their homes are rocks. They go under a rock and they hide. Because I think the world, I mean, let's be honest, when you first go out into the world, it's a scary place. It really, really is. I mean, it's big and it doesn't really have a side. It's not on your side. It's not on anyone's side, for that matter. But it's big and monstrous, and you have all these people you don't know and see, and it's really easy when you first go out into the world to be afraid of the world because it is that much bigger, and then you. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from. It's that concept that the world is much bigger than you are, and And then, ironically, the cure to that is realizing that no matter how big of a person you become, right? Actually, I find as I try to become a better person, which is a big part of who I am, I try. I don't always succeed, but I try. I realize that the world is bigger than I can imagine, and that I'm smaller than I can possibly imagine. I'm much smaller than I thought I was when I first set out into the world. And as I get older, I'm even smaller still. The difference is I'm not frightened of this. I'm actually in awe of it, because that means that no matter how much I see or do, there's always going to be more out there. And if that's the case, I mean, you can no longer look at the world as a terrifying place. It still has its moments of really terrifying stuff, absolutely, and it always will, right? There's no such thing as a smooth ride, and I don't think it should be. But I do think, by and large, I mean, just simple things. I mean, we both live in the city, so I mean, it's really easy to forget sometimes when you look up above. There's a billion stars in the sky, with a billion worlds and a billion places, and we're still seeing only a small percentage of just what is out there, and that's a really humbling thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, actually, I don't live in the city though. I should correct you.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, I live Greater New York. We call it Greater New York area. I live in Connecticut, in a place called Easton, and where we raise chickens and have a huge garden.
So you get to see
that stuff.
You get to see stars every night. You lucky person.
Yeah.
You lucky person.
Yeah, we're out in the quote unquote country. I mean, it's not really. It really isn't. But it compared to New York City, having lived there for several years, it's definitely the country. You sound like someone that actually would enjoy a smaller place just for the peace and quiet. It's funny. I love it out here. I certainly miss just being able to walk down the street and go to a coffee shop or whatever, or just all the different artistic. I mean, there are surprisingly quite a bit of artistic opportunities out here, but it's New York City. You can't really. There's no comparison, I miss that aspect of it. But there is something about the peace and quiet, not hearing people wake me up at 2 a.m. with playing their music in their car. Sitting on a chair outside of their car, gathered around with their friends, listening to music. Moms talking at 5 a.m. with their kids, 3 or 4 years old, running around, at the laundromat, like right outside my door. I don't miss that. I don't miss the people above me who were having horrible issues in their relationship. Is really sad. I know that the cops were called a bunch of times, and it was just awful. And I could hear fighting, and possibly real physical abuse happen. I can't say for sure because I'm not in their room, but it was. I don't miss any of that. I like having a house to come home to, and to know when I go to sleep, I'm not going to be awakened by somebody playing their music at 4 a.m.
Was it good?
There's always pros and cons to everything, right?
Was it good music at least?
No.
Oh.
No. And I like a lot of music, but no.
No.
And let me tell you, nothing is good at 3 or 4 a.m. when you have to get up for work, to go to my corporate job or whatever at 6. You kind of want to shoot them.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm just saying.
No, it's first off, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning is an ungodly amount of time to get up. I've done it. Is the only time in the day.
Gross.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You get up, you're like, your body's like, what are you doing? My brain is like, what the fuck are you doing? Literally, it's what you and you're looking at both your brain and your body. Goes, I have no idea, to be perfectly honest with you, why I'm doing this. This is insane. You are right, but we are doing this. And then literally, I almost hear my body just giving me a giant finger at that point. It's like, fuck you.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and the thing is, I always have gone to bed, for as long as I can remember, 12 o'clock or whatever, and then even, in the city, probably closer to 1,
Oh, God.
Waking up, but that's just my body. That's just the way I.
No. I could just imagine. I could just imagine. I mean,
Oh.
good Lord. I mean, you wake up. It's like, what are you doing? And you're going to your body. I have no idea. I
wanted to destroy people. I mean, I had all sorts of villainous thoughts. You're not supposed to.
It's forgivable.
And I peer out my window, and there's two guys sitting in a chair, chilling with the music blasting so loud. I'm like, how do people not complain? How can you not complain about this? This is awful. Do you not? And these kids awake at 4, 3 in the morning, calling for their mom, and they're outside. They're outside. I'm like, what is going on here? How is this possible? It's a school night.
Yes, yeah. It is, isn't it? Funny how that doesn't matter.
No one seems to care. No one seems to care.
Well,
and at the same time, I also met, putting, like I said, I mean, there are definitely pros and cons, and I did meet some really flipping awesome people in the city and made some really good friendships. And that I still get to the city, a few times a week, but I certainly miss being able to just say, yeah, let's go meet for coffee or whatever. I'm having a bit of a hard time finding some friends here, because it's kind of like people have been here for a while. They've sort of made their friends. And,
well,
I did just start a play reading group here, which I'm excited about, and that starts this Friday.
That's
so
awesome.
Maybe that'll start sparking some more friendships or relationships.
You're in an odd spot in this one sense because you're also you're self-motivated. I mean, the fact is, like, it's 9:30 your time in the morning, and you've already done some work, and I mean, it's 7 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm like, I'm doing work right now, even though I thoroughly enjoy talking to you, Miss Sorceress. But I mean, the fact is, like, we both have to go on our own all the time, and our hours aren't necessarily everyone else's hours.
I know, I never think that. And then my husband's like, Marnie, 5 hours of sleep is not, I'm looking at my little watch that keeps my time, and it'll say like 4 hours, 13 minutes, 5 hours, whatever. I was like, that's plenty of sleep. And he gets way less than, he pulls all-nighters all the time. But I was just like, but 5 hours isn't, he's like, no, that's why you're so tired. He's like, it's not enough. And you have 4 hours here, 5 hours there. It sucks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a weird balance because, for the other thing about, going back to the very beginning, what we talked about, doing stuff creates opportunities, and sometimes you get so engaged with what you're doing, you forget this shit. You're like, I'm not kidding. There are times I'm working, whether I'm writing, whether I'm podcasting, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll recognize I'm hungry, and I look at the time. I hadn't eaten in 12 hours, and it's not because.
Wow.
Well, yeah,
I
because
forget to eat.
Yeah.
I love eating.
Well, yeah, exactly. No, but I mean, you get so engaged with what you're doing.
You do. I never forget to eat. It's nice to forget to eat, but I love eating.
Well, no, I love eating too. I'm getting the impression. I really get this impression with you. You're a chocoholic. I get that impression.
Oh my gosh. I could eat chocolate all day if it was an okay thing to do. I could. I really could. Dark chocolate all day. Yeah, all day. Every day. Yeah.
Yeah, dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
No, dark. Oh, dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Note to self. Note to self.
Yeah.
I now know how to bribe you. I mean, get.
Oh man, you show up with or send me some.
70% or higher. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, 70%. Yeah, that's good. Not too high, because then it gets kind of bitter. But like 70% or 60 in that, it's a very fine balance, because you go too far, and then it's just too bitter for me. But there's that beautiful 60, 70 that's so just.
It's like,
it's so good.
Yeah, like,
so good. I'm thinking about it right now, actually.
Yeah. Well, no, I just had that feeling. It's like, I know what she's doing when this conversation's over.
Right. Exactly. I'm thinking about it. I have dark chocolate covered almonds, and I'm like, as soon as this is done, I'm gonna eat some.
My favorite chocolate choice this is a childhood thing. Marzipan.
I don't know what that is.
It's an almond-based chocolate.
Oh. Almond-based. Okay, I love almonds. That's what I drink, almond milk, all that stuff. Yeah, that's
Yeah. So it's made. It comes from Italy, or that part of the world, and you can get it without the chocolate. But you can get it with.
Why would you?
Well, it's still good. I'm going to tell you this right now. You'll be like, this is different, right? It is one of my favorite treats on the planet. Right, and so when I do get marzipans, like I'm a happy guy. The other chocolate I really like, and this is what I take because winter's approaching. It like Calgary's already had snow, so I'll just give you an idea like what winters are like here. So when it gets that cold and that dark, so my personal favorite, they have these chocolate vanilla buttercreams, right? So it's vanilla and chocolate at the same time. I'm very, very happy. I don't get stressed out. Life just feels good, right?
Yeah.
Right. Life feels good. I don't care what's going on around me. I have my chocolate.
Who cares what's happening in the world? I'm gonna sit here with my little bag of marzipan in your case.
It does. You know, chocolate. I like dark chocolate too. I'm just saying, like, just for me, it's just at that point, it's like I'm happy with the universe right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I don't care.
Well.
I don't care.
All is well.
Yeah, I don't care what's on fire across the street. This is good. I don't care.
Yeah, and I don't care the guy's playing music at 4 a.m.
Everything's good. Oh, I could just imagine that would be what you did. Morning, like, what the? Why am I awake? Why are you awake? Chocolate. That just pacifies.
Totally. Just sitting up in my bed, eating chocolate, listening to the flipping music.
So somewhere you go from good to, okay, I'm pacified. I'm good now. Life is wonderful. God, that music's still terrible, but life is wonderful.
Exactly. It's like a drug.
Yes.
It really is. And I read that somewhere, that on a very, very low level,
it
gives the same effect as marijuana. That's what I read. I don't know if that's true, but they said the cocoa plant. That's why white chocolate doesn't do the same thing because it's not made with a cocoa plant.
No,
white chocolate. I don't know.
White chocolate.
And false advertising, but that's what they do.
I'm just gonna say it. White chocolate sucks.
It sucks. It's terrible.
Yes, it
and
is.
People who I wrote that somebody asked me, like, I had on Twitter, I had to answer. It was Ken Lynch. He's awesome, and he asked me. He tagged me. He's like not my real agent because he's always really sweet and promoting me, and he's just awesome human being. Anyway, he asked to give out 3 facts about myself, and one of them is I don't trust people who don't eat sweets. I also don't trust people who eat white chocolate.
Really?
Because it's not really chocolate.
Well, no.
So are they allergic to the cocoa plant? In that case, maybe I'm okay, but otherwise, why not just eat real chocolate? Why are you eating fake chocolate? Are you a fake person? I'm just saying.
Okay, so Marnye, deep press. They're not all evil. Some of them surely. Some of them surely are. That's not.
No, I'm just messing around.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going with it. But I mean, first off, you are right. It does have a. So chocolate, ironically, like dark chocolate, it helps reduce stress. It helps with, let's say you're trying to quit smoking. It's actually one of the best things to have with it, right? Because it won't kill a craving, but it'll reduce the anxiety from it significantly, right? Yeah.
Well, and I read too in I think it was in GQ or something. This was years ago, like a billion years ago, that men are supposed to have one tiny piece of chocolate a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing
about women.
I don't argue with
men
it.
are supposed to have one piece of chocolate a day.
Yeah.
Dark chocolate, not milk chocolate, dark chocolate.
Absolutely. I don't argue with that. It's good. Honestly, it's good. The only now here's the other thing about like the really high percentage dark chocolate though. Like when you get to like the 90s, you have to be very.
Scary.
But here's the thing, right? Like again, that's what you use for like somebody that's like trying to quit smoking. That's where that chocolate's really good.
Okay.
Right. But here's the dangerous part. But here's the dangerous. You have too much, you get addicted to that.
Ooh,
right.
That's not good. Yeah,
there are far worse things to be addicted.
I mean, if there was a Alcoholics Anonymous, like the Alcoholics Anonymous, I'd be there. I would be like, it's been 40-some years. I've been addicted since the womb. Like, this is how it is, and I don't know how to walk away from this. I actually tried to not eat chocolate for about a week, right? I made it 3 days and broke down crying. I couldn't handle it. I had to eat chocolate.
I can see. You would
I
be.
couldn't do it.
You'd be the actual chocoholic. Like you wouldn't actually be like you'd be like whatever the chocoholic equivalent to drunk is. Like I'm not an alcoholic,
Yes.
I'm a drunk. That would be you.
Yes.
You'd be smuggling stuff into the meetings. You'd be like, here, I got your
Totally.
fix. And-
Stuffing chocolate into my face before the meeting, and I'd probably have chocolate like, all over my face, and then sitting there like, what?
I don't care. I'm happy.
I feel so good.
That's right.
I love chocolate.
That's right. I got this now Cookie Monster version of you now going out there. Just
Oh, there's the most wonderful GIF on social media that is Cookie literally taking every single cookie off a tray and just shoving it, and that's me. Like, a perfect example. My husband, right? He doesn't really eat baked goods, really. He's so good. I mean, he likes sweets. Don't get me wrong. So he's cool. I trust him, but he doesn't.
He's not
He doesn't
crazy.
eat them. So he'll make like 24 cookies, right? Guess how much he eats?
Like 2?
Like 1. Guess who eats the other 23?
You and the kids?
Me,
Just you.
pretty much.
Wow. So
Not in one sitting, thank God. But maybe in 3 sittings.
no, okay, so now I'm thinking of Marnie as a villain here just for a second. I see her kids going, but Mom, what about you get your own?
Exactly right. These are mummies.
That's right.
I don't share.
I don't share. There's
If you
something
want to share with your sister, then we'll talk, and you can have one of my cookies.
that's evil. It works
No,
though.
oh my gosh, I could never do that. Don't be silly.
No,
I totally would give them cookies. Of course I would.
It's okay. I understand. There's a so the way to Marnie's villainy is through sweets. I gotcha. I understand now.
Totally. No one comes between me and my chocolate.
That's right.
No one. No one.
Okay,
There's an author out there who wrote a book about chocolate and needs someone to narrate them. Hello.
are you kidding me? And
Yeah.
I think the only limitation there is your budget. It's like, okay, I can only have so much chocolate while I'm working here because it's got to. Oh my god.
The downfall too is that chocolate is terrible for your voice. It really is.
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm sure if I thought about why, if my brain was actually functioning that well, I could tell you why. But coffee's not good for your voice. You know all this stuff, I'm sure. But chocolate is the same thing. It's
Really?
Probably because the acidity of chocolate. It's very acidic. It's not good.
Okay.
So I have to, if I'm gonna eat it, I gotta eat it hours before I record.
So basically, as a performer, okay. So that's actually a really interesting thing. Ooh, that actually leads to one final fun question here.
Ooh, I like fun questions.
Okay, so you have to train your voice on a regular basis. I mean, you'd have to, like, as a warm-up, as a way to work it out, just make sure, because you do all kinds of ranges. People, ladies and gentlemen, you should look at her book. She goes all over the map in terms of ages, like, and voices, emphases, like villains, heroes, heroines, you name it, she does it. So, I mean, it's an incredible range. That all said,
Thank you so much.
how do you warm up? Like, is there a specific exercise you do? Because that would be kind of neat, actually, to hear.
I do all the stuff I learned in grad school and college, and even stuff I learned at my the Fine Arts Center in Greenville, South Carolina, that I took my senior year of high school. I took 2 classes, acting and voice. What was I going to say? So there's all these little like tongue twisters and stuff, and I stretch, and I do lots of really weird sounds. Lots of really, it would sound funny probably, but it loosens up everything. Tongue stretches are good because it's amazing how much tension you hold in your tongue. There are people that literally can't hold their tongue out for a minute because have you ever tried that?
Yeah, I know. Your tongue is one of the strongest parts of the body.
Yeah, exactly. One of the strongest muscles you have, right?
Yeah.
So try and hold it out for a minute and see what happens. And you're more than likely, for most people, their tongue is going to start to spasm.
Yeah, it spasms.
Crazy. But if you're loosey-goosey-goosey, it doesn't. And it just kind of hangs out there all sloppy and whatever. And that's what you want. So that you can form all these different words and sounds and all the stuff that's happening.
So that's really cool. So that must be a regular part of your regimen, like all the time. So okay, this will be fun. What's your favorite tongue twister?
Ooh, I like. I don't know how much of it would you call it a tongue twister, but it's a what to do to die today at a minute or two till two. A thing distinctly hard to say, but harder still to do. And there'll be a tattoo at 20 to 2, and the dragon will come at the sound of the drum at a minute or two till 2 today at a minute or 2 till 2. Trinidad and the big Mississippi and the town Honolulu and the Lake Titicaca. The Popocatépetl not in Canada, rather in Mexico. Canada, Malaga, Remedy, Bredici. Canada, Malaga, Remedy, Bredici. Yes, Tibet. Trinidad.
Damn. You're good.
The funny thing is, you're supposed to do that in one breath, and I kind of ran out of breath at the very end. But you gotta give me some slack. Like I said, I'm running all over the place, so I'll get it. I get it.
You get that's really, really good. So, this Chocoholics Anonymous at the podcast today was sponsored by Marnye. You're awesome, and I thank you very much for doing this again. So before we wrap this up officially, why don't you tell everyone what's coming out now? You kind of mentioned it earlier. Just reevaluate that re-say it again, just so people are aware. And how can people find you?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. This has been awesome. I had a great time. So one of my newest releases is called The Heart of the Conqueror. It's by G. Lawrence, and that's produced by Tantor Audio, my very first with Tantor, so I'm really super excited about that. Also, what else? There's so many. I just wrapped up, I think I told you, The Forest and the Flames, which is the second one to that. I also am doing Of Ashes and Sin by K.N. Knight and Ariana Hawks. That's coming out in a couple months. Also, gosh, there's so many. I've got Pride and Prejudice on the way. I've got Liza Strata on the way. I've got the Zombie Apocalypse Bite-Sized Offerings, which is a charity book, which is awesome. So please, please, please get that. You're going to help an amazing mother who's a huge supporter of the indie community out, who's just a super mom. If you knew, you can find out about her life and sort of her struggles, and she's an amazing human being. And just a bunch of other stuff. I won't waste your time. But you can find me at www.marnye, that's MARNYEYOUNG.com.
Very, very cool. And
that was my conversation with Marnye Young. Check out her books. Study in Scarlet's good. I think that's a fun one. But she does quite a few other ones, depending on genre. Find a book by her. She's incredibly gifted, great range, a lot of fun. And come on, she's a chocoholic. You gotta love an open chocoholic. So, but in all seriousness, Marnye, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much for believing in me and for all you've done for me. You are welcome back on the podcast anytime you'd like. And guys, you should definitely, if you are an author listening to this, you should definitely check her out. And that will do it for another edition of Just Joshing. Now, if you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. This podcast is now available on practically every player: Google Play, iTunes, Spotify. You can find me. You can subscribe to the podcast, Just Joshing. You can leave kind words or not so kind words. I would prefer kind words, but if you want to give me something, anything, I'll take it. I have my books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, currently available through MirrorWorldPublishing.com, also through Amazon, Kobo, wherever books are sold, brick and mortar or electronic, you can do so. My YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. Beyond all that, thank you very much for listening. Stay inspired out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, or don't get caught. All right? I'll talk to you guys all soon.
Josh.